Hey guys, Marmalade here with Marmalade Outdoors, and welcome to another video. This one I called 10 Beginner Solo Hiker Safety Tips. And it's really just meant to help beginner hikers or newbies feel a little more comfortable and kind of plan a little better when they're going out for some of their first times. My first solo one was kind of a disaster. I actually didn't plan on this, but I'll tell you about it really quick. I was section hiking the PCT here near San Diego in the section A of the PCT, the beginning part. For a couple years, got kind of confident / cocky and said, I'm going out by myself. I went out when the weather wasn't supposed to be good, which was a bad thing. We don't have a lot of bad weather in SoCal, but in January it can get really cold. And I was doing mile marker 20, which is Lake Marina, up to Mount Laguna and all the way to Sunrise Highway. So it was mile 20 to basically mile 60. I was going to do it over 4 days and 3 nights. So I go out, I leave Lake Marina. I'd never done any of this section, so I'd never seen it. And I got lost. I went about a quarter mile out of Lake Marina and and followed the dirt path 2 miles. It wasn't even on the trail. I didn't have a GPS app that worked, so I didn't know what I was doing. So I had to 2 miles out and 2 miles back, and finally found the trail and hiked about 12. I planned to do 12, 15 a day. I did about 12. I camped, if you guys that live in this area, at Fred's Canyon, and didn't know what I was doing. I borrowed a tent from somebody, a one-person tent. And the rain was in the forecast, started raining, but I got set up just before the rain, which was perfect. Had a nice dinner, and I had a big piece of Tyvek. I put it out. It was like twice the size of my tent. Remember, I was a beginner. I didn't know. Put it out there. Woke up about 2 in the morning with a lake underneath me, and it turns out when you have a big ground sheet, it creates a lake, and the water settles underneath you. So I woke up to my tent being like it was underwater in a lake. So the worst part was I was soaking wet. All my clothes from hiking were soaking wet. I had to hike about 12, 13 miles up to Mount Laguna. And when I got up about 3 miles, it got colder and colder and colder. It stopped raining, thank goodness. But when I got to the top, it started raining, and I was in about a foot deep of snow up by Mount Laguna. So the last about 2 miles, I hiked in a foot deep snow while it was raining, then slushy, and then it was snowing. It was blizzarding. And I had a rain jacket, but I had shorts on, and I was panicking, to be honest with you. So, learn from my mistakes. I got super lucky because I still had another night to camp somewhere, but everything I was wearing was soaked, and my tent was soaked. Everything was soaked. So and there's nobody on the road. I got to the road up in Mount Laguna, and I didn't know what to do. I was actually panicked. I was going to hike to the store and see if I could get out of the weather, but one car, I was out there on the road like 20, 30 minutes, and one car came by, and I put my thumb out, and they picked me up. And it was so weird because, I'm sure I was thinking the worst, but here I'm thinking I'm going to die. And the next minute I'm in a car with a heater, and she drove me to my car another about 10 miles on the road. And I was in my car with my heater and had fresh, clean clothes on. And it was so weird, but I learned my lesson, and I learned to not be prepared when I'm out there. So hopefully these 10 tips will help you. All right. My first one is trekking poles. And it sounds weird. Like, how can trekking poles help you be safer? And they've helped me so much time in my life, and I was very hesitant to try them. I thought when I was first backpacking that if I tried them, I was officially old and the old geezers, club. But they've really helped me. They have been studied at colleges, and they've helped you about 5 to 7% when you're going uphill or downhill to help your knees. I happen to have good knees, but my friends that have bad knees, helps take the weight off your knees. Where they help me the most, I do use them for my tent because I have a tent without poles, so I need my trekking poles. But more than that, for hiking, how they help me is they save me from falling and slipping and tripping so many times. They help me with balance going across rocks and creeks and logs. I've had to do so many river crossings and dangerous log crossings on the PCT, and they really help me. So just, if you haven't used them, try them. It can't hurt, and the best I could do is help you. And if you don't like them, don't use them. All right, 2 is something that I've been trying to incorporate lately, and I sometimes do it, sometimes don't. But when you're new and you're going hiking, and really it doesn't matter if you're new or not, but especially when you're new, but because you're not as experienced, is tell somebody where you're going, your itinerary. Make sure they know your plan, your daily mileage, maybe where you're going to camp each night, things like that, when you expect to be back, that kind of thing. And, you know, most of the time when you're backpacking, hiking, there is no service. So there's no way, like if you got in trouble and got hurt, you could call. So just make sure you do that. It's really smart, and somebody can come find you if you do get hurt or get lost. All right, the third one is if you are in bear country, is never leave food out. You should be around it all the time. If you're sitting down to eat, don't get up and go to the bathroom 30 feet away. The animals can get it like that, especially bear. They have an incredible sense of smell, and that includes bathroom products, toothpaste, lip balm, things like that. If you're in bear country where you're required to have a bear canister, put all that at night in there. Just put it in there. It also helps away from rodents, things like that. If you don't need a bear canister, you're not in like the Sierra, let's say, then use an earth sack and hang it, or even a food sack and just hang it in a tree. All right, the fourth one is kind of a common sense one, but don't take unnecessary risks when you're out in the wilderness. It sounds simple, but I see it a lot. I don't want to stereotype, but it's a lot of younger kids they have more fun and they're more reckless and I think they feel invincible. But I've seen so many crazy things out there. People trying weird things, jumping off giant rocks into rivers. And I see crazy things like you have a water crossing and there's a bunch of stones and people trying to run across it and like not take your time and be careful. And there's so many bad things that can happen. So it is kind of common sense, but just use your common sense and don't take unnecessary risks. All right, this is a pretty big one, number 5, and I'm not always good at this, but listen to your body. If you've ever thru hiked any longer trail, like longer than 200 or 300 miles, you know that you have to push your body sometimes to get the miles in. You can only carry so much food for so many days to get to the next resupply, and I've pushed myself too far and not listened to my body a lot, so I'm kind of calling the kettle black, but I'm trying to, I do listen to my body more, but especially when you're new, uh, you haven't put yourself through the physical uh, rigors of backpacking, but it's also the mental. Like I feel like I'm a strong hiker because I'm mentally strong. I'm not the strongest hiker. I mean, I've been an athlete my whole life, but I think I'm a very average hiker physically and speed wise, but I feel like I can endure a lot of pain and suffering and push myself beyond what I should. But it's not good, especially at an older age. I feel like if you're in your 20s or 30s, you can endure that a little bit easier. So listen to your body. There's no reason to push yourself. If you plan on doing 15 miles or 10 miles, doesn't matter, and you only went 7 or 8, then that's what you went. You can maybe make up for the next day or just go an extra day. But one of my tips will help you in case you aren't getting the miles you thought you were going to do, and it'll be coming up in a little bit. All right, the sixth tip for beginner solo hikers is to learn the wildlife in the region that you're going in. It sounds silly, but it's important. One of the things I fear-mongered over when I first started the PCT was, how many things could kill me out there. And now I live in the desert, so I've seen a ton of rattlesnakes. They don't scare me. I mean, they're scary when you see them, but I mean, I know how to act towards them. But I've never really seen a bear in the wild, and I still haven't seen a mountain lion. And mountain lions are the most dangerous. So one of the things I did to arm myself was learn how the animals act, how they are, and how to maybe buffer having an attack happen. So I learned how to act towards bear and mountain lions. Now, I want to say I saw probably a total of 7 or 8 bear on my PCT hike, and almost all of them just ran. So I didn't have much interaction with them, but they generally are not going to attack you, generally speaking. Obviously, you're in grizzly territory. That's a different story. But be smart and learn what wildlife's out there and how to act towards them. It also helps you know about your food and whether you should be protecting it stronger or not. All right, the 7th tip is to make sure you check the weather before you go out, especially when you're new at it. I did not do that on my first solo hike, and I knew it was maybe had some chance of rains, but I didn't check it. If I would have checked it, I would have known it was going to snow above 5,000 feet. So make sure you check it. It's very smart, and not only to be safe, but to bring the proper clothing for it. All right, this is something I hinted at earlier, but for number 8, if you are a new beginner solo hiker and backpacker, think about bringing a half a day's to 1.5, 2 days of extra food if you're going to do a decent hike. If you're just going out for 10 miles, and then 10 miles back, then maybe not. But if you're going to do a decent length and it's maybe a fairly rigorous hike, bring some extra food. You never know when it's going to be way steeper than you thought. The weather's bad and you end up getting in your tent early and getting out of a storm, things like that. And maybe you're wet, you need to get warm, things like that. You never know that stuff's going to happen. So maybe when, I do preach in a lot of my videos to get lighter, to bring just the food you need and that's it. But in the case when you're a beginner, I think you should bring a little extra. Even to this day, I still will bring an extra ramen packet or a little bit of this and that, just in case I ever get stuck out there. All right, the 9th tip is, and I think almost everybody knows this and does this, but if you're not, research and get a good GPS app for the trails. For ones I buy, you can buy certain ones. I use Far Out for like if you're getting the PCT or the Appalachian Trail or certain ones, you buy a trail. But if you want like the whole United States or wherever you are, get Gaia. I use Gaia. I'm going to look into Onyx. I haven't used that yet. So if some of you guys use that, let me know what you think and whether you think how it compares to Gaia. I like Gaia, and there's some certain things I don't like, but Gaia works pretty well. And Gaia and Far Out, I can't speak for Onyx, but Gaia and Far Out work without any service, and that's what I like. They talk to a satellite. So on trail, we put another tip that's not in my list, but is to put your phone on airplane mode when you're out there to save your battery. But the apps will still work because they talk to satellites. The last thing you can do too on a lot of these apps is download the maps for your area so you have them there, and you can also create a route. I use Gaia when I don't have it on Far Out because if I'm doing a brand new hike, I go through a lot of places where there's a lot of trails crisscrossing, and sometimes there's no signage, so I lay out my route ahead of time. There's a little colored line so I don't get lost. That's my only fear really out there. Pretty comfortable with the animals and different conditions and weather and things, but I just don't want to get lost. So you can download your maps and you have them on your phone. All right, the 10th one is carry a GPS tracking device. The most common one, the one I have, not that you have to have it, is the Garmin InReach Mini. I have the regular one. They now have a Mini 2, and I'm sure they'll be coming out 3 and 4 and all that. But they're really great. I think they're kind of pricey. I think they go for around $350 to $400. But then you own them, and you do a monthly payment service. What I love about their service is you can turn it on and off as much as you want. There's no sales plan or where you have to buy a year. You can get a discount, I think, if you buy a year, but you don't have to. So in the past, I used to just turn it off and on when I wanted. But I found I was doing a lot of day hikes in my area, especially in remote places, even out in the PCT in the desert in Anza-Borrega. And I wasn't bringing it because I had it turned off. And I realized, well, what's the difference if I'm on the PCT or on a day hike? I can still be alone and get hurt and need rescue. So now I leave it on all the time. I do the cheapest plan. It's like $15 a month. And it gives you texting capability if you need to text a loved one and tell them you're okay, or hey, you're picking me up, come a little early or late, whatever, I'm running late, all that kind of stuff. So definitely look into them. Once you buy them, you own them, and the only thing is a monthly payment. You can turn that off and on when you want. All right, the bonus and 11th item is, well, anyway, is trust your instincts. It's a little bit like listening to your body, but it's a little different. Listen to your instincts. We're animals, right? When we're out in the wilderness or anywhere, we have a survival mode in us. So when you're out there, trust your instincts. One of the examples I can tell you is there's times when I've been on the PCT and there's a reroute and it saves you time, but it's supposed to be all the comments say it's really dangerous. Sometimes I won't do it if there's certain things I'm very confident in, some I'm not. So if it's something I'm not confident in, I won't do it. Another great example is I haven't done it in a while, but I've been working on the 100 Peaks list for San Diego 100 Peaks list. I've got 72 done. I haven't done any in like a year, but I've had 2 or 3 where a lot of them are not, there's no trail. There's partly trail, sometimes no trail. You're walking through the desert and cactus and rocks and snakes and stuff like that. But I've had 2 or 3 where I've gotten a quarter, third, halfway and turned around and came back. It was too sketchy for me. Maybe it was that day that I wasn't feeling it, but I've done other things that are sketchy, but I listen to my body. I have an instinct that knows whether I just not feeling this and it's not worth risking my life or getting hurt badly to do it. So be smart about it, right? You're out there to enjoy it and have fun, but if you go on a new hike or a new place and it's sketchy or dangerous, or you have a really rough water crossing or something unusual like that, or maybe the trail just disappears and you're just bushwhacking, things like that, you can turn around or go to a different area. So yeah, just trust your instincts on that. All right, I hope you enjoyed those 10+1 tips. That's fun to do. I mean, I've made almost every one of those mistakes. That's how I know about them. And, it helps to watch these videos and learn. And hopefully they do help you if you're a beginner. A lot of you watch me are not beginners. But if you are, hopefully they help you. A lot of times, even when you watch a lot of these videos, you have to get out there and do it. So you can get lighter and, bring less stuff and trust your instincts, all the stuff you do, but you have to get out there and do it. Make the mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. I've made a million of them. I'm still make mistakes when I get out there, but I've refined it so I make less. But hopefully it's helped. And if you enjoyed this content, let me know if you have any other ideas for content. I have a couple more videos coming out that I'm planning, but if you'd like to know about other topics, or if you have questions, I periodically do a series of Q&As. I'll do some more Q&As. I'm starting to get more questions, so if you have questions, bring them. And if you like this content, you'd like to help me do more of this kind of content, there's ways to support the channel down in the description box, so check it out. I have Patreon, I have YouTube channel. You can be a supporter there. I have Amazon store. I have a merch site for clothing if you like the Marmalade logo. I have shirts and mugs and things like that. So check it out. The Amazon store is pretty unique because it doesn't cost you any extra, and because I'm sending you there and using my link, I get a percentage of it, so it won't cost you any more if you went on Amazon anyway. So check it out. It's either stuff I use for backpacking or car camping, or just products I like or maybe I'm about to get. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye.